watching the Mystical Green Beanie.
Hey, what's going on, dudes and dudettes? I am the Mystical Green Beanie, and welcome to my best of, worst of review for Luke Cage Season 1. Now, I don't really have any preamble, I kinda just want to start talking about it, so without further ado, let's get into it. And as always, we're going to start off with my positives, so let's talk about the best of. And the first thing that I want to bring up is the soundtrack. The soundtrack for this show is amazing. In my opinion, it's tied with Scott Pilgrim vs. the World for having the best soundtrack to a comic book adaptation. And I know that those are like two totally different flavors. One's chocolate and the other's, well, dark chocolate. But hey, who says you can't like both? The second thing that I really liked was the writing. The writing for this show was very sophisticated, and it reminded me a lot of the Boondocks. Well, the first three, and only 3 seasons of the Boondocks. There was no 4th season, it was unfortunately cancelled after season 3, and it never came back. But all jokes aside, I really appreciated how the writers of this season handled a lot of hot topics regarding race and what it means to be a black man in America, and how differently many men and women of color identify themselves in today's world. I really appreciated how raw and realistic the writing was, while also maintaining a certain level of maturity. I also really love the pacing, and this is something that can only be truly appreciated after immediately watching Jessica Jones and The Flash Season 2, because those seasons have horrible pacing, whereas with Luke Cage, every episode feels warranted. Even the first 5, which in my opinion aren't really all that good, but I'll get to that later. But even with that in mind, in hindsight, the show couldn't have been as strong as it was without those first 5 episodes, and I feel like that's something that should really be acknowledged. Another thing that I thought was really good were the villains. Luke Cage, hands down, has the best villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. They are brutal. And there's this funny moment where something happens, and I'm not going to spoil it here because I really want you to watch the show and see it for yourself because it's hilarious. But after it happens, Turk from Daredevil says, "See, y'all Harlem niggas are crazy. I'm not fucking with y'all no more. I'm going back to Hell's Kitchen where it's safe." Like, that was hilarious. And it wasn't only just a funny moment, but it also established or, reinforced how savage and brutal and truly horrifying the villains in Luke Cage were. Finally, I liked how they used the word nigga, because it gave the show a sense of authenticity, and no matter what your personal stance on the word is, it exists. And I can confirm that many African American individuals use it in casual conversation, but in that same turn, I can also respect that there are those who don't, and don't like to be called that. And again, going back to the writing, I like how it's something that's addressed in the show in a mature fashion. But yeah guys, those are my positives. Granted, these aren't all of my positives, these are just the best of, meaning that these are the things that really stood out to me that I liked. But with all that said, let's get into my negatives. Let's talk about the worst of. And starting this list off is something that I've already mentioned, and that's the first 5 episodes. Dude, I was actually worried because I kept getting flashbacks to Jessica Jones where I was so bored. And I think I got to episode 9 of that show and realized, shit, this might actually be pretty boring. And I thought that that was going to be the case with Luke Cage as well. Thankfully it wasn't, but still, when you look at Daredevil seasons 1 and 2, you're hooked from the beginning. So I don't know what it was about Luke Cage, but these first 4 or 5 episodes weren't all that interesting to me. But then the show finally picked up steam around episode 6 or 7, but it took damn near half the season to get there. And that really could have been better, and I hope that they improve on that in the 2nd season. Another thing that I wasn't too hot on was the acting. Now look, I know for a fact that the actors in this show are good actors, so I don't know why the performances felt so off to me, because half the cast feels like they're trying to give a very melodramatic performance, while the other half feels like they're trying to give a very nuanced performance. And the performances clash with each other very violently, and that goes on for a while. And I'm not entirely sure if it ever leveled out, or if the writing was just so good that I eventually didn't notice it anymore. But I know for a fact that the performances were just very weird this season. And speaking of which, Mike Holter felt very off in a few scenes as well. And that's not good seeing as how he's the lead. Because Luke Cage is written in a way where he can code switch, which basically means that he can go from speaking like a well-educated member of society to sounding like a hood rat who came out the trap. Except the only problem with that is, Mike Holter doesn't. And it's very weird. And what's even weirder is that he did it just fine when he was in Jessica Jones. But yeah, guys, those are my positives and negatives of the show. At the end of the day, this was a show that I feel was really good. It's not as good as it could be, but it's still damn good. But it's one of the better comic book shows that we have going on right now, and I'm glad that we have it because it's very relevant, and it's a show that I feel came out at the right time. Honestly, it's a damn shame that it wasn't marketed as well as Daredevil or Jessica Jones. My best guess is that it's probably because Marvel felt like they already had that brand that they didn't need to advertise it, but whatever. That said, what about you? What were your thoughts on the first season of Luke Cage? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know down below in the comment section. Also, if you liked this video, hit the like button, share, support the channel, and if you want to see more content like this, all you have to do is subscribe. I am the Mystical Green Beanie. Thank you for watching, and as always, until next time, my friends, adios nachos, adios.